While we're talking football, remember Super Bowl 22, the one played right here in San Diego, the Redskins beating up on the Broncos in 1987? Well, a lot of folks don't remember about that story. That was a season marred by a player strike. Weeks 4, 5, and 6 were played with replacement athletes, including the guy sitting to my left, former Washington Redskins safety Dan Burmeister. If the name sounds familiar, Dan is the father of two prominent prep sensations to come through our ranks, the most recent being Braxton Burmeister, who's playing quarterback at Oregon. Dan, thanks for stopping by.
Great to be here.
Let's set the stage. You played college ball at North Carolina. You were a safety. Were you drafted or invited by the Redskins?
I was a priority free agent coming out of college.
All right, so you got invited to camp, right. Didn't make the roster.
Did not.
But then the players go on strike, and suddenly the owners decide we need to field a team, and your phone rings. Pick it up from there.
Well, basically when I got cut, I was among the last cuts in camp. I got cut, and they told me the strike was coming, and the Redskins had a plan in place to be a very formidable strike team, and I made the decision right there. It didn't matter, you know, what the pressure was, what the situation was. I wanted to play football.
How ugly was it to cross the picket line? Because the word scab is in the air. It's the headlines. Did you feel any physical threats to your decision to play to cross the picket line?
I was never scared physically. I mean, it was an emotional thing because I was from Washington, D.C. I knew a lot of the players that were on the regular Redskin team. So it was a little emotional, but I was never physically scared.
That season is we're seeing some of that 30-30 special that the ESPN did that really highlighted the season. You guys not only field a team, you field a good team.
We because of Joe Gibbs, because of Bobby Beathard, because of the planning that went into it, we had a very good team. I mean, I've said this many times. 28 teams in the NFL back then, 32 now. We were smaller pool of players. We had some really good players. We had great management. We had 2 Hall of Famers we were working for. We felt good about our chances in the end game.
Bobby Beathard was instrumental. I mean, he saw that, hey, these are games we got to win. Because the season, people don't forget, it was shortened to 15 games. You go 3-0 as a replacement team because Bobby Beathard assembled a better team than the other owners or GMs did, right?
The Redskins went out on strike in last place in their division, came back in first place, because we basically took the division out. But Bobby and Joe Gibbs were both football geeks. They loved their jobs. They loved what they did. They took it as a personal challenge that if they go to strike, we're going to win games. And Bobby went everywhere, including a jail to find a player for us. Our backup quarterback was on a work release program, and yes, he was a Heisman Trophy candidate, but he had some hard times since.
So you guys get ringed, but the replacement players don't get rings. It's taken until now. When did the phone ring? When did the organization say, okay, we got to make this right? Because you won 1/5 of the games that they needed to win that year.
Yeah, there was a filmmaker up in Los Angeles named John Dorsey, and he does films for 30 for 30, and he decided to take on our project. But he took it on with, I'm going to get these guys rings, and I'm going to get my show sold to 30 for 30. And he did both. He was highly successful. So that show came out, and Daniel Snyder saw it, and Doug Williams works in the front office of the Redskins, and with some pressure from Charlie Casserly and Doug Williams, Daniel Snyder made the best decision of his ownership track with the Redskins, and he gave us rings finally.
That's your close-up camera. Can you hold it up? Show people. Can we zoom in on that ring, Terry? That ring is finally on your finger years later. You have a sports car on your hand right now.
Potentially, if Angela decides this is a sports car, then we'll make it a sports car.
so, I mean, do you feel is that ever going to leave your possession?
No, I'm just kidding. This means the world to me because I know, you know, we weren't the best players in the world, but boy, we were close to the best players in the world, and we did what we had to do, and we're all very proud of having them.
I'm going to have you back because we're not going to even get to the topic I really want to talk to you about. This is a great story, but then it's our ensuing conversations. We're just going to jump ahead. You're in the business of evaluating high school kids and making their expectations reasonable as far as their collegiate. I mean, you obviously know what a D1 athlete looks like because you sired one, so you know that. Parents come to you with unreasonable expectations. We're going to show you, this is the graphic for to play in the Pac-12 these days. These are the parameters. Explain what we're looking at right here.
Okay, what we do is when parents come to us and they say, you know, I really want my kid to play at a certain level, well, I'm a parent. I think my kid's better than probably he is, or Sage or Brax. But what we try to do is pull them back into the reality of what do the recruits look like for each conference. So if you're looking at the Pac-12, those are the numbers you need to put up to be an average recruit within that conference. Well, that's a sobering experience.
Right.
If you don't have those intangibles, you better start thinking about life without football or life at a different level.
And every conference is different. It's like the Big Ten would have bigger linemen, I assume.
And you don't have to have all of those. There are special players out there that don't necessarily run a 4.40, but you better be perfect on social media. You better have a 4.0 grade point average. You better be a low-risk kid. Okay, so we try to put it all together so that parents understand the recruiting game and the fact you can market your son, or your son can market themselves, but there's certain ways. When a college coach walks on your campus, they don't walk to the football office to start. They walk to see the guidance counselor, the academic folks. They'll stop and ask a secretary in the school, what kind of kid is this? Who am I getting here? So you got to handle your business across campus, not just in the football.
Dan, I want to promise another visit because I want to pick it up right there.
Okay.
Because I think because we have a big high school audience.
Absolutely.
Dan Burmeister, everybody. I'm glad you got your ring and you're committed to part 2 of this conversation. 5 p.m. newscast has ended. The 6 p.m. newscast is about to begin.